Service department allocation, like you said, we're trying to allocate costs. That's what we're trying to do, right? That's what we're trying to achieve. But where are we allocating costs from, right? And where are we allocating to? So the big idea is with service department allocation, you have two types of departments in the business, or you can have two types of departments. One is the service department. Two, you have your, so this is one. Two, you have the operating departments. So service departments are departments that exist within the business, but their main function is to service other departments.
Okay.
Right? That's why you'll see examples like the repairs or the IT department. So let's take for example at UCT, you have the ICTS, right? ICTS doesn't generate revenue on its own. It doesn't go to third parties and provide IT services. ICTS main function as an IT department is to service other departments in UCT, right? So the College of Accounting uses services of ICTS. The other departments, they use the services of ICTS at UCT, which is an IT department. So service departments are basically those departments in the business that are not income generating, meaning that they don't sell their service to other third parties. They just service. They service the departments that are within the company. And then you have operating departments. Operating departments are those ones that are income generating, meaning that they sell something directly, right? So those ones are income generating. They sell something directly to their customers. If I were to use UCT as well, I can say College of Accounting, and I can say it as an operating department because they enroll students directly. If you think about that, you'll realize that even though the service department doesn't generate any revenue or income, but they still incur cost because they have to run certain things, right? When they providing the IT services, they have staff that's providing those services. And by virtue of that, they have to pay salaries, they have to maybe buy machines, they have depreciation. So they have all these overheads that they're going to incur. However, they're not producing any income. So the whole point of service department allocation is to say, service departments, they incur cost, but we need to allocate them all to operating departments. Once you understand that, then you know service department allocation. So if I'm looking at this here, my entire point with service department allocation is I want to allocate all the overheads that are sitting in service departments to the operating departments. So I'll be left with zero in the service department. One of the broad reasons, so let's think about this. With one of the broad reasons is for us to accurately calculate the profit that's been made by the operating departments. Basically is to accurately calculate the profit that's made by the operating departments. Usually service department allocation helps with performance evaluation, right? Because if you think about it, the reason why we allocate the cost here is because we're saying the food department as an operating department uses the services of IT. It uses the services of repairs. So some of the costs that are sitting in repairs and IT, they caused by food department because they use those services.
Okay.
Right. So if we only leave those costs in the service departments, we're not accurately calculating the profit that's made by food department because we're ignoring some of the costs that have to relate to them. Because if we leave this cost here under service departments, we're not accurately calculating the cost of the operating departments. And how do we allocate them? Allocate them based on usage. So we allocate based on usage. What do I mean by that? We're going to determine how much of IT services are used by food department. And we allocate based on their usage. Same thing with people department. We're saying the people department uses services of IT. How much of those services do they use? And then we allocate it to people department. Right. So that's why you usually see the reason of First thing, the reason why service department allocation exists is because we want to accurately calculate the profits that's made by the operating departments. And secondly, they say the benefit of service department allocation sometimes, or most of the times usually, it encourages good use of resources within the company. What do I mean by this? If the food department uses the IT department, but we don't allocate the cost of the IT department to the food department, do you agree that the manager of the food department can use the services of IT however he wishes to use it? Those costs are not going to be allocated to them. But once we start saying, hey, if you use the service of IT department, we're going to track that usage and we're going to allocate some of the cost of the IT department to your department. So the manager in the food department or any of the operating departments is going to say, hey, we need to be careful how we use the service departments, because the more we use the service departments, the more we're going to take on some of their costs, and that's going to decrease the profit that we make, meaning that we might not get bonuses because now our profit is going to be lower. General idea I want you to understand is we're basically trying to calculate the profits that's made by the operating departments as accurately as possible. So that's why we need to take into account some of the costs that are incurred in the service departments. Okay, now that we understand at a high level what we're trying to do with service department allocation, basically allocate the cost out of service departments to operating departments. Now you ask yourself, how do you do that? That's when we have the three methods to do it. We have the direct method, we have the step method, we have the reciprocal method.